the hallmark of Australia's outcomes this year, at a time when we see over 600,000 cases a day, agonising losses at record levels in terms of lives around the world, and Australia, by comparison, in the fortunate position of most days, 0 cases of community transmission. That's been driven by the combination of following the science and scientific advice and planning. Today is another step in that. The vaccine rollout in 2021 is an important part of providing insurance and protection and saving lives and protecting lives here in Australia. The net result of the decisions taken and the next evolution of the scientific advice is that we will have strengthened our position in 2 vaccines and discontinued the process in relation to 1 vaccine, which is, of course, the University of Queensland. The final outcome from all of that is that there is the potential for slightly earlier completion of the vaccine rollout for Australians in 2021. So that net result is a very important outcome for Australians. Very briefly, I think it's important to understand that we planned in all of our contracts for the potential either to discontinue based on the scientific advice and gateways, or to expand the number of vaccines. So, for example, as the Prime Minister mentioned, we're increasing our AstraZeneca purchasing by 20 million units. That was envisaged within the contract. Those 20 million units have now been agreed in conjunction with CSL to be produced onshore here in Australia, which is what allows us to potentially bring forward the completion of our vaccine rollout in the course of 2021. At the same time, the Novavax contract allowed for us to expand, and we've done that. In addition to that, the contract with regards to the University of Queensland recognised a series of gateways, and the simple answer is that in relation to that, it's been shown to be safe, it's been shown to be effective, it's a powerful and important breakthrough as a platform, and we thank our scientists for that. But the issue, which by mutual agreement with CSL led to the decision not to proceed to stage 3 trials and therefore not to move to a purchase, is that there was the risk of false positive HIV results. They are false. It comes from the protein that was used. And as a result of that, the scientific advice is that the risk to vaccine confidence was the principal issue here. And we made the decision unanimously as a National Security Committee. The scientific advice was unanimous. The agreement with CSL not to proceed was mutual. And this is the scientific process working. It's the planning process working. It's an honest explanation of some of the challenges we've had. But at the end of the day, 31 million new vaccines purchased for Australia, and the potential for a slightly earlier completion of the rollout, with the commencement process still on track for March, subject to the approvals, and the news on our vaccine candidates is strong. Just to let you know, all up, the Australian vaccine portfolio, 53.8 million AstraZeneca units. That's enough to cover the whole of population. 51 million Novavax units. That's enough to cover the whole of population. 10 million Pfizer units, which is the advice that we have is appropriate, and 25.5 million units available under the COVAX facilities. So all up, over 140 million units of vaccine available to Australia. And the advice I have is that this is one of the highest ratios of vaccine purchases and availability to population in the world. So we're in a strong position. We're in a slightly better position at the end of this week in terms of having shored up our candidates, but also having made decisions as to what we proceed with and what we don't, and the potential for a slightly earlier completion during the course of 2021.